A white title appears on a black background. Conducting an accessibility review, a demonstration. DeAnn Elliott, Accessibility Coordinator, User Research Center, Harvard University. Titles fade.
Hi, this is DeAnn in the User Research Center, and today I'm going to do a quick review of a library guide from the Schlesinger Library about women in medicine, and the purpose of the exercise is to take a look at the procedures and the process that one might use to review a product like this for accessibility and WCAG 2.1 AA compliance. And I'm going to do a quick time check.
12:21 p.m.
And a
Thursday,
check.
May 21st, 2020.
Thursday, May 21st, 2020. And I usually begin by giving the specifications of the software and the hardware that I'm using so that the issue, if we flag something, can be documented and replicated. So today I'm using JAWS 2020 with Windows 10 and Google Chrome on a Hewlett-Packard laptop. And I'm going to go up to the top of the page.
Home-Women.
And the first thing I do is I press Insert T to check the title.
Title is Home-Women in Medicine Research Guides at Harvard Library Google Chrome.
That's good. It's not too short. It's not too long. I'm looking for something that summarizes the page. And I will usually do a say all of the page, which you do with insert down arrow. And I will listen to the contents of the page to make sure that the title does actually capture what's going on that page. So I'm going to down arrow once.
Visited same page link, skip the main content.
And I hear a skip link, and that's good. I also hear that it's skipping to the main content.
Visited same page link, skip the main content.
That's where I want to go. Sometimes you will see skip to navigation section, but I'm sort of right there in the navigation section, so that is less helpful to me. I like to skip to the main section. And I often will use the letter Q to go quickly to that main section, so I'm going to press the letter Q now.
There is no main region on this page.
And I see that this page has not been coded in that way. One way that a person who is a screen reader user can toggle between the different sections is to press the letter R, and you go through the different landmarks or regions. So we'll try that to see if other areas have been coded, even if the main area has not been coded that way.
Visited link Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study, Harvard University, banner.
There's the banner section.
Navigation region.
There's a navigation region.
Wrapping the top. Visited link Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study, Harvard University, banner. Navigation region.
So we have only two navigation regions here, and the main section has not been coded in that way. I would code the main section as a region.
Home-Women in Medicine Research.
I often begin by doing an insert F1 just to get an idea of what's happening on this page.
This page contains 89 links. There are 2 regions. There are 6 headings. 2 at level 1, 4 at level 2. There are 2 forms. https://escape. Home-Women in Medicine Research escape.
So I'm hearing that there are 89 links and there are 6 headings. That ratio seems, it could work depending upon how the headings are laid out. Typically for something that has 89 links, you might want to have more headings than that. I also noticed that there are 2 heading level 1s, and as a best practice, it's best to have 1 heading level 1, followed by some heading level 2s. And if you need to get down into a more detailed outline format, one would use some heading level 3s and 4s. Let's take a look at those 2 forms that were identified. I'll do insert F5.
Select the form field dialog. List 1, list 2, unlabeled 1, edit 1 of 2. To move to items, use the arrow keys.
So there's an unlabeled form that's an edit.
Unlabeled 1, edit 1 of 2.
And I'll down arrow.
Search all list button 2 of 2.
And there's a button that's appropriately labeled as a search button. It's got its role, it's got its name. It's just this one up here.
Unlabeled 1, edit 1 of 2.
That needs a label.
Escape Radcliffe Institute for Advanced.
Let's do an insert F7 to see if we can go through those links.
Links list dialog. Links list view. Skip to main content 1 of 89. To move to items, use the arrow keys.
So we've got our 89 links, and I'm just going to down arrow through these quickly.
Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study, Harvard University 2 of 89. Research Guides 3 of 89. Schlesinger Library on the History of Women in America 4 of 89. Research Guides Home 5 of 89.
We're looking for link text as opposed to URLs. Not that a URL would be completely out of the question, but it would be problematic if you saw 4 or 5 URLs listed here. If one must be limited and there's listed and there's a reason for that, that would be acceptable, but it needs to be something that's thoughtfully and intentionally done, since users who are blind and who use screen reading software will be using this links list to jump quickly to different key elements on the page, and it will be used for navigation.
Subject guides 6 of 89. How dash the guides 7 of 89. Course guides 8 of 89. Visit the library 9 of 89. Search all lists 10 of 89.
So I like it when the first word is a verb, in this case search. That would be something I would look for with first letter navigation, or a particular collection. And if there's a real obvious word that a user would be looking for, that could be the first letter as well.
Ask a Schlesinger librarian 11 of 89.
Good, there's a verb.
Home 12 of 89. General Archival Collections 13 of 89. World War I 1914-1918 14 of 89. Medical Romance Novels 15 of 80. Countway Library Archives for Women and Research Tips 17 of 80. Ask a Schlesinger Librarian 18 of 89. Head and Shoulders Portrait of Elizabeth Blackwell 19 of 89. Portrait of Mary S. Calderon. Hilda Standish on the Great Wall of China 21. Woman Doctor with Patient 22 of 89. 5 photographs of the Army Women's Medical Specialist Corps. 2 portraits of Jacoby semicolon. Formal portrait of 7 women including Women in Medicine 26 of 89. Contact us 27 of 80. Dorothy Brewer Blackall left parent Ka 1890 Elizabeth Blackwell and Emily Blackwell left bracket and Blackwell Family Papers right bracket 29 of 89. Library's website 30 of 89. Mary Wolfowitz Blumen left parent 1921-2013. Marjorie Broad left parent 1924-2005. Mary Steichen Calderon left parent 1904-199. Cannon Family 34 of it. Nancy L. Caroline left. Anna Olivia Cordero left parent. Harriet Patience Dame left parent. Leni DeVries left parent 1905. Helene Deutsch left parent 1884. Helene Deutsch Papers 40 of 8. Martha May Elliott left parent. Martha May Elliott Family Planning Oral History Project. Alice Hamilton left parent 1869-1970. Harriet Hardy left parent 19. Jessie Louise Herrick left parent. Sarah Ernestine Howard left parent 189. Mary C. Howell left parent Ka 1933-1998 right parent 48 of 89. Kate Campbell Hurd-Mead. Edith Banfield Jackson. Mary Putnam Jacoby left parent 1842. Paula Rhines Kaiser left parent 19. Margaret Noyes Kleinert left parent 1879-197. Linda J. Lobenstein left parent Ka 19. Lucille Lord-Einstein left parent. Dorothea May Moore left parent 1894-1995. New England Hospital for Women and Children 57. Oral History Project on Women in Medicine 50. Hildegard Peplau left parent 1909-1999 right. Additional papers 60 of 89.
So here I see additional papers. Now, I know from having looked at the content on the page that this is associated with
Hildegard Peplau left parent 1909-1999 right parent 59 of 89.
The Hildegard Peplau collection. But if one were to just press the letter
Additional papers 60 of 89.
A and toggle through the list of links, additional papers would be taken out of context, and that would be potentially confusing. If there's another way to word that, to say maybe additional Hildegard Peplau papers, that would be an improvement.
Videotape 61 of 89.
Again, the same for the videotape.
Audio tape 62 of 89.
And the audio tape, which is connected with that collection.
Eliza Taylor Ransom left parent 1867. Elizabeth Prince Rice left parent 190. Ida Sophia Scudder left parent 1870-19. Ida Sophia Scudder additional papers 60. Hilda C. Standish left parent 1902. Felicia Ann Stewart 68 of 89. Joan B. Walker left parent 1902-1995 right parent. Priscilla White left parent 1900-19. Anna Wessels Williams left parent 1863. Elizabeth Rosenberg Zetzel left parent 1907. Harvard Library 73 of 8. Research guides. Schlesinger Library on the History of Women in America. Women in Medicine 76. Print page 77. Log into LibApps 7. Report of problems. History 80 of 80. History of Health Science. History of Science. Medical Sciences 80. Medicine 84. Public Health 85. Women and Gender Studies 80. Harvard University Digital Accessibility Policy 87 of 89. Details and exceptions 88. Ask a Schlesinger Librarian.
Okay, so I'm going to go back up to the top of my list.
Home. Skip to main content 1 of 89.
And I was very happy to see that if I press the letter C,
Contact us 27 of 89.
I will find Contact Us. That is one of the most common links that I use when I want to go very quickly on a page to the place where I can reach someone live in person. It might be an email that I want to send, or the GPS physical address or telephone number. So in this case, I'm going to press Enter on that.
Enter. Home - Women in Medicine - Research Guides at Harvard Library - Google Chrome. Welcome - LibAnswers - Google. Welcome - LibAnswers.
And if I do an Insert T,
title is Welcome - LibAnswers - Google Chrome.
I can see that that has in fact taken me to another page, and that's what I wanted. I wanted for the link to take me to a place where I can get some contact information. And if I go through this page, I find a way to contact the library and so forth. One interesting thing is that you want the link text to match very closely the destination of the page where it's landing. And in this case, the destination page is called...
Title is Welcome - LibAnswers - Google Chrome.
welcome lib answers, which is a little bit different than contact us. And more congruity between those two, between the text and the destination, would be helpful. Another thing that I check for, I'm not going to do it right now, but I would go through and actually fill out the form just to make sure that when a user goes to reach out, that the form that they are filling out, the email, is in fact accessible and has all of the appropriate text and labels and buttons and so on. To get back, I'm going to do Alt left arrow.
Back. Welcome. Dash lib answers. Dash Google Chrome. Home. Home. Dash women and title is home. Dash women in medicine. Dash research guides at Harvard Library. Dash Google Chrome.
Good. And the page-to-page navigation worked well. You want to make sure that if you go to a page, you can get back to the page where you came from, and that could be accomplished by a back button. It could be accomplished by the Alt left arrow. Sometimes there's a link in the navigation section to go home. And you want consistency in page-to-page navigation within your document or your website.
Home. Dash women in medicine. Dash research guides at Harvard Library.
So let's take a look at those headings. I'm going to press the letter H to toggle briefly through those 6 that we had listed.
Research guides visited heading level 1 link.
There's our heading level 1 research links.
Schlesinger Library on the History of Women in America heading level 2 link. Women in medicine heading level 1.
So there's our second heading level 1. Again, just one heading level 1 would be preferable.
Women in medicine heading level 2. Get started heading level 2. General archival collections heading level 2. Wrapping to top. Research guides visited heading level 1 link.
Okay, those are heading at the top. I frequently go down and take a look at the copyright.
Link ask a Schle create link to accept free J Schleswig visited link Harvard University.
So I'm going to be down arrowing as one might through a page.
Schlesinger Library on the History of Women in Free James St. Vertical bar Cambridge Mozilla except where otherwise noted. This work is subject link details and exceptions. Creative Commons 4.0 license icon graphic. Link ask a Schlesinger Librarian. Link ask a Schlesinger Librarian. Creative link details except where otherwise noted. This work is subject to a Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license.
So here I'm hearing the equivalent of the copyright down at the bottom.
Link details and exceptions.
And it is possible that a person would hear the copyright and just assume that there is nothing more on the page and they would exit. But if I continue to down arrow one,
Creative Commons 4.0 license icon graphic. Link ask a Schlesinger Librarian.
I hear a very important link, ask a Schlesinger Librarian, and that is the very last thing.
Link ask a Schlesinger Librarian.
And it is appearing below the copyright, and one could easily miss that. So I would change the tab order so that that ask a librarian is given greater prominence and could be found more easily. I think on this page there are some other ways to contact a librarian, for instance, through the Contact Us form that we just looked at, and in the navigation section you could get to that place. But just for greater clarity, the copyright should be the very last thing on the page.
Home-Women in Medicine research guides at Harvard Library.
Another important link to look for is accessibility.
Links list dialog. Links list view. Skip to main con. A. Ask a Schlesinger Librarian. A. Ask a Schlesinger Librarian. A. On Olivia Cordero left pair. A. Alice Hamilton left parent. A. Additional papers. 60 of 89.
And I'm not finding anything under accessibility.
A. Audio tapes. A. Anna Wessels Williams left. A. Ask a Schlesinger A. Ask a Schlesinger Librarian. 11 of 89.
If you look for the digital accessibility policy, I'll press the letter D.
D. Dorothy Brewer Black. D. Dorothea Mame. D. Details and exceptions. D. Dorothy Brewer. D. Dorothea Mame. D. Details and exceptions. A. D. Dorothy Brewer Black. All left.
You might, if you are having a technical difficulty, press the letter G for give us feedback.
G. General Archival. G. G. I. Ida Sophia Scudder. G. G.
And that doesn't work either. In this case,
H. Hilda C. H. Harvard Library 70. H. History 8. H. History of Health. H. History of Sci. H. Harvard University Digital Accessibility Policy 87 of 89.
There it is. It's under H. So it is there, but you have to look for it a bit more than would be ideal. If that could be put under digital accessibility policy, or if there could be an accessibility link in there as well, that would probably be helpful.
Escape. Home-Women in Medicine research guides at Harvard Library.
So let's take a look at a couple of these sections.
Research guides visited heading level 1 link. Schlesinger Library on Women in Medicine heading level 1.
So here's Women in Medicine, right underneath our heading level 1.
List of 7 items. Link home. Link general archival collections. Link World War I 1914-1918. Link medical romance novels. Link Countway Library. Link research tips. Women in Medicine heading level 2. Link Head and Shoulders portrait of Elizabeth Blackwell. Link portrait of Mary S. Calderon.
These sound like images. I am imagining that there are perhaps some pictures here.
Link Hilda Standish on the Great Wall of China. Link woman doctor with patient.
I think I would like a little more detail.
Link Hilda Standish on the Great Wall of China.
That sounds really interesting. There's a woman on the Great Wall of China, but it's unclear if this is 1907 or if this is 2007. And the year that the photo was taken, or if it's a black and white photo, or any other information about her dress or the circumstances might be nice to add. Because sometimes the thing that I remember on a page is an image.
Link woman doctor with patient.
That's better. Again, if it had a year associated with it, that would be more noteworthy.
Visited link 5 photographs of the Army Women's Medical Specialist Corps.
And if there's a reason for those 5 photos, or if they were taken abroad or in the US, that could be interesting to add as well. If I go up to the top of the page,
Home-Women and Medicine.
and I press the letter G for graphic,
Creative Commons 4.0 license icon graphic.
I hear a graphic for Creative Commons.
Wrapping the top. Creative Commons 4.0 license icon graphic.
But I am not hearing any graphics for those images. And I would be looking for images under the letter G for graphic. Let me go back to where we were.
Wrapping the top. Research guides visited heading level. Schlesinger Library on the History of Women in America heading level 2 link. Women in Medicine heading level 1. Women in Medicine heading level 2. Get started heading level 2.
Let's get started.
Start your archival research on women in medicine with this guide. The material in this guide was found by doing a left quote keywords anywhere right quote search in Hollis. On left quote. Link women in medicine. Right quote and also searching Hollis on narrower terms such as colon doctor semicolon physician semicolon nurses semicolon etc. Use the menu on the left to view additional material.
This is a common thing that we find on web pages and guides. You'll hear it says
Right quote and also use the menu on the left to view additional.
Use the menu on the left. For sighted users, that makes sense, but for a person who is navigating a page with a screen reader, the page appears kind of in a top to bottom presentation, and I don't know where something would be to the left. It feels like I am already at the left-hand margin. And
right quote and also use the menu on the left to view additional material related to this topic.
If the destination of what I'm looking for, use the whatever link were inserted in that situation, I would be able to do a Control F and just copy and paste the words and find it in a different way. That's an example that there are other examples of that type of accessibility error as well. Sometimes colors are used. For instance, look for the red button, look for the icon of a camera, look for something in the upper right-hand corner, click on this, and a JAWS user who doesn't use a mouse and who doesn't see the layout on the page would be confused by those instructions.
Virtual find. JAWS find dial F R E U D. Enter. She was the first of Sigmund Freud escape.
I just did a Control F to find the word Freud because I remember seeing something here.
The rise of Hitler. She and her family left Austria in 1930. She was the first of Sigmund Freud's women student. Period. She was the first of Sigmund Freud's women student to undergo analysis with him, and she became a member of his circle of friends and colleagues. Period. With the rise of Hitler, she and her.
The she and her
family.
That is a really minor typo. Definitely not a huge deal. One of the benefits of using a screen reader is that I think it's easier sometimes to detect those types of typos. I can hear them more easily than I could spot them when I could see.
Member of the Boston Psychoanalytic Society. These papers include professional correspondence which concerns conferences, publications, and other scholarly endeavors. See also a second collection of Link Helene Deutsch papers.
One item on this page that was a little challenging to me.
Home-Women in Medicine Research Guide.
Is that we have 250 lines approximately of text without a single blank line in between. And I imagine that visually there are some breaks. There may be a line or two of blank space before or after a heading. And having the blank line just means you don't have to think so hard. You know that this information is all conceptually clumped together. And the headings in this case are good because they do block off major thematic areas that I can tell that they're not being used for stylistic purposes, and that's what you want to see. But at the same time, the reading experience and the user experience would be improved if there were more blank lines. I'm going to just darken the screen temporarily.
Space. Screen shade on.
So now we're seeing the same thing. And I'm just going to down arrow through this, and you can sort of hear this wall of text effect.
Visited, same, visited, link, visited, heading left, navigation, list of 7, link, research, visited, link, visited, link, visited, link, visited, link, ask, list, end, navigate, edit. Menu, Mary, escape, leave, escape, virtual search, heading level, list of 7, link, home, link, gender, link, world, link, medical, link, count, link, research, link, ask, list, end, heading level, link, head, link, portrait, link, Hilda's, link, woman, visited, link, to, link, formal, heading level, start here on left, link, women, and right, quote, use them and take note. Many of our visited, link, in advance, heading level, list of bullet, link, Blackall's, cruise photos, on the hospital, bullet, link, Elizabeth Blackwell and Emily Blackwell, left bracket and Blackwell. Space. Screen shade off.
That's just an example of a place where some blank lines would separate those areas more distinctly. Let's go up and take a look at our search box.
Home dash women in medicine dash edit. Navigation region N. Blank edit type in text.
There is the unlabeled search box.
Escape virtual PC cursor. Navigation region N.
I'm going to up and down arrow through this, and I have Google and my settings set to automatic so that the cursor will automatically put me into forms mode.
Blank edit. Menu Mary 1 of 1. Escape leaving menus. Escape leaving menus. Home. Escape leaving menus. Menu escape leave escape virtual PC cursor search all list button.
It's a little sticky.
Blank edit. Escape virtual navigation list end. Link ask Schlesinger librarian list end. Navigation reach blank edit. Escape virtual search all heading level 1 search all blank edit. Escape leave escape virtual navigation list end. Navigation blank edit. Escape search all list but heading level 1 women in medicine. List of 7 items. Link home.
So that's the element that needs to have a label to identify its purpose.
List of 7 items. Heading level 1 women in medicine. List of 7 items.
That's a quick review of this particular LibGuide. Let's go take a look at some others. This is an example from Baker Library. It's a library guide for venture capital. And my thanks in advance to anyone who may have created this guide and who is perhaps being ambushed by seeing it presented here. I thank you for your willingness to share with your colleagues your strengths as well as the areas that we can all use improvement on. So here I just wanted to take a very quick look at what happens when we do a forms list with insert F5.
Select a form field dialog. List 1 list view. Unlabeled 2 button 1 of 47. To move the items use the arrow keys.
We hear that there are 47 of these forms, these elements on the page, and a number of them are unlabeled. I'm going to down arrow through them.
Search Baker Library website edit 2 of 40 button 3 of 4 button 4 of bookmark this button 5 of unlabeled 0 unlabeled 0 but unlabeled 0 button 14 of 47 unlabeled 0 button 19 of 47.
Now the good news there is that it's one problem that's repeated over and over again. So once a person can identify what the error is, you can go in and change those very quickly, and a page that it has been previously difficult to navigate can, with just a few quick changes, become really a quite good page.
Escape venture capital and private equity.
On a page like this, a person might navigate with the letter B for button, and so if I press the letter B several times, I'm going to encounter all of those unlabeled buttons.
Unlabeled 2 button bookmark this button unlabeled 0 unlabeled 0 unlabeled 0 but unlabeled 0 but unlabeled 0 but unlabeled 0 but unlabeled 0 button unlabeled 0 button unlabeled 0 button.
This makes it very hard for a user to understand because you don't know what the button is that is being activated, and it just creates a lot of unnecessary confusion. I wanted to look briefly at some examples of alt text because it is a little bit of a judgment call. This is from the Common Spaces website, and it is a page about the Heights restaurant. There's an unlabeled image, I believe.
Geo file /Heights underline menu dash 25% 20 copy link graphic.
These are in need of alt text.
Geo file slash DSC underline 6648 link graphic. Geo file slash DSC underline 6674 link graphic.
And missing alt text is more than just not seeing the picture of the salad. The alt text really conveys more than the image itself. In this case, if the restaurant does not have a Braille menu, or if a visitor who is blind who goes to the restaurant in person is not able to read a sign at the front door that says what the special is for the day, having the images in mind will help you decide what it is that you'd like to eat, and it conveys a certain flavor. In this case, I believe there are some pictures here of a shrimp salad and maybe a caprese salad with some mozzarella and tomatoes rather, and fresh basil. And so that conveys to me that this is a restaurant that serves local, fresh ingredients from the Atlantic and from New England. Maybe the menu is a little light or summery. And it not only makes you interested in going there, but it also very subtly, without even thinking about it, conveys that the person who created this page was thinking about blind visitors, and that's why they added the alt text. It makes you feel welcome. You sort of know what to expect. There aren't going to be any surprises. And all of those things can make a person want to go to eat at this restaurant and feel drawn there, which is something that the website is trying to convey to all of its customers. Additionally, when I see missing alt text, there's always a question mark in my mind about what's there. It might just be a picture of a salad, and I'm not especially interested in that salad at that particular day, and I down arrow through the choices. But when I see a black hole, the question arises, did I miss something significant? Because sometimes a very important piece of information is hidden in that black hole. So sometimes it's just reassuring to know what it is that you don't know. And that's a good reason for being conscientious about adding alt text. I'm going to look at another example of alt text.
Task switching, meeting controls, to home dash Julia Child, Stuart Carey Welch's Lom, get Zotero dash Zotero colon getting started.
This is a guide, a research guide about getting Zotero, a tool, a research tool for managing footnotes and bibliographies and so forth. And it includes some screenshots for use by sighted users, and it does have alt text, but you'll see that the alt text is a little bit problematic.
7. In the General tab, uncheck automatically tag items with keywords and subject headings. Unselecting auto tagging directions graphic.
There's a graphic.
Unselecting auto tagging directions graphic.
It does not convey the content of the image. It conveys what the image is, which is better than missing alt text, but I imagine that this is a picture that has a computer screen on it, and it probably shows an arrow pointing to that part of the screen that a sighted visitor would go to if they wanted to implement that step. Let's down arrow through these other screenshots.
8. In the Sync tab, add your username and password and click on Setup Syncing. Setup Syncing directions graphic.
And there again, all of these screenshots.
9. In the Cite tab, open the Word Processors tab and check the box next to Use Classic Add Citation dialog. Selecting Use Classic Add Citation dialog directions graphic.
Convey that there is images there, but it doesn't tell me the same content that would be communicated to a sighted user. Expanding the alt text in this case would not be my preferred way of addressing this issue. I think there's enough detail here, and a blind user who was trying to download and customize their preferences in Zotero would be approaching this particular process a little bit differently, and it would be better to have a page of user-friendly instructions for people who are using screen readers that would contain a step-by-step listing. Do this, do this, do this, press enter, press tab, press spacebar. And if this is useful to sighted users, then by all means keep it, as long as there is an alternative that would be equally useful to a blind user. Here's Julia Child. And I'm going to down arrow through these links, and we're going to hear some pretty descriptive text.
Context menu to navigate, press up or down, escape, leaving menus, home dash Julia Child dash research, context menu. New window, control plus N2 of escape, leaving menus, home dash Julia Child dash research guides at our context menu. Escape. Leaving menus. Home dash Julia Child dash research guides at Harvard Library dash Google Chrome. Chrome button menu. Customize and control Google Chrome. Get Zotero dash Harvard Common Spaces dash Google Meeting Controls. Stuart Carey Welch's Home dash Julia Child dash research guides at Harvard Library dash Google context menu. New window control. Escape. Leaving menus. Home dash Julia Child. Link view of the Child's Kit. Link the French Chef episode.
Sorry about that.
Link Julia Child 1971. Photo by Paul Child.
So there we're hearing
Link Julia Child 1971. Photo by Paul Child.
Julia Child 1971.
Link Julia Child and other chefs and students at Le Cordon Bleu 1950.
Great.
Link portrait of Julia seated by tree 1981. Link Julia Child and Bill Cosby at Emmy Awards 1966.
So I love that. I can see who is in the picture. I can hear the year.
Link the French Chef episode number 24 : Lobster l'Américain 1963.
And even if all the details aren't there, it gives me a little bit better idea what's happening in that picture than we had in the previous example. Again, it's a link. It's not appearing as a graphic. So if I hit the letter G to toggle through this page, I won't see it. But I like the text.
Get Zotero dash Zotero Harvard Common Spaces dash Google Meeting Controls. Stuart Carey Welch Islamic and South Asian photograph.
And here is another example still of alt text. This is from a blog, actually, for the Fine Arts Library, and it is talking about a collection, the Welch collection of photographs, which focuses on Islamic and South Asian art held in private collections. And the thing that makes this collection so unique and so special is the very high degree of detail that you can see in the photographs. And so the images that are contained in the blog post are trying to convey to the sighted reader the amazing detail that one would see if you go to visit this collection. And so the images have a great deal of alt text, more than you would find in another page or another situation. But in this case, it works because it conveys to a blind user the same information that would be conveyed to a sighted user. So let's down arrow through these entries.
Context menu to navigate, press up or down arrow. New tab control plus T. Escape. Leaving menus. Stuart Carey Welch's. Finally, we would like to share with you a preparatory study titled 4 Views of a Baby Elephant at Play from Stuart Carey Welch's own private collection. Left parent pick 6-C right parent. As a symbol of intellectual and mental strength in Hinduism and the Indian culture, elephants were a popular subject in Indian art. His baby elephant adorned with golden bells is painted with realism and grace characteristic of the Kada drawing masters. 4 views of a cheerful gray baby elephant against a yellow background, 3 kneeling and 1 standing on hind legs, arranged in a circle. The elephant graphic wears gold bells dangling off a thin white collar. 2 small figures, possibly trainers, lunge in opposite directions in top right corner. Graphic.
So there's the graphic with quite a bit of description.
Pick 6 4 views of a baby elephant at play. C 1720 and 1730. Rajasthan, Coda left parent, India right parent. Full view photo : Welch collection. Link contour line drawing of lunging male figure with hands spread apart, wearing cloth around his waist. There's a hint of light red on his undergarments and turban. Pick 6B 4 views of a baby elephant at play. C 1720 and 30. Rajasthan, Coda left parent, India right parent. Detail photo : Welch collection. Link profile of baby elephant with chin bristles, wrinkles and skin of extended trunk and a pink tongue and a smiling mouth.
So there we get a really good flavor of what that collection is about, and I appreciate all that detail. Here's another page. It is a research guide for Black women. It's an oral history project from the 1970s and 80s, and I'm going to press insert F1 again just to get a picture of what's happening in this page.
This page contains 552 links. There are 2 regions. There are 76 headings. 2 at level 1, 74 at level 2. There are 2. Escape.
And what I'm noticing here is that we have more than 500 links and we have more than 70 headings. That indicates that this page will be challenging to navigate because even if all of the headings are used appropriately, they're semantically determined, they block off major thematic content areas, I would have to press the letter H 70 times to get from the top of the page to the bottom. And the 500 links, one would typically tab from the top to the bottom, and that would be unwieldy. I imagine this is also kind of a challenging page just because of its sheer size for sighted users as well. If I press the letter Q to get quickly to the main section,
there is no main region on this page.
I can see that it has not been coded in that way.
Home dash Black women.
I'm going to make a links list with insert F7.
Links list dialog. Links list view. Skip the main content 1 of 552 to move.
We have 552 links, and I promise I will not go through them all. But I did want to illustrate that some of the tricks, like first letter navigation, work less well in this situation just because of the sheer size of the page. So if I wanted to find contact us, for instance, with the letter C.
C, course guide, C, Chris, C, Chris, C, Chris, C, Chris, Jet, C, Chris, Jet, C, Chris, C, Chris, Jet, C, Clara, Dick, C, Clara, Dick, C, Clara, C, Clementine, Hunter, transcript.
It may or may not be there. If I go back up to the top.
Home, skip to main content, 1.
And I'm looking for accessibility with the letter A.
Ask A, Alice A, Alice A, Alice A, Alice A, Alice A, Alfreda Duster, Real 1.
We encounter the same situation.
Home, skip to main.
I'm going to go to the letter J for Jesse Abbott.
J, Jesse Abbott, transcript, 25 of 552.
If I down arrow from here,
Jesse Abbott, Real 1, 26, Jesse Abbott, Real 2, 27 of 552.
I see we have some reels, but on the page before I did this recording, I did take a look, and it appeared that some of those recordings were accessible only with Flash, which does not work well with JAWS, and it also said that it did not interact well with Chrome, and I'm using Chrome for this review, so I won't be trying to listen to any of the recordings today.
Jesse Abbott, Real 1, Jesse Abbott, transcript, 25 of 552.
But a transcript is universally accessible. So let's try our transcript. I'm going to press enter on that.
Enter, Jesse Abbott, transcript, link. Harvard Mirror Viewer dash Google Chrome, Harvard Mirror Viewer, Harvard Mirror Viewer.
I'm not sure what the Mirror Viewer is. That wasn't the title of the page that I expected to find. I will come down and arrow through a few of these choices.
List of 1 items. Link Harvard Live list end. List of 6 same page link, same page, same page, same page link, same page link. Related link, same page link. Help list end. Plus. Heading level 1 add item. Add item button. Jump to colon. Jump to page. Combo box left parent sec. 1 right parent.
There I'm seeing a combo box sec, S-E-Q. That is the name given to this combo box. I'm not sure what SEQ stands for. It might be a sequence, perhaps. In general, it's a good idea to avoid abbreviations on a page. There are some that visually make sense. So for instance, we might see DEC for December or APR for April. Visually that makes sense, but JAWS will read it as DEC or EPR, or make up something to say that it can sound odd, particularly when you're reading it quickly. And in this case, people who are using screen reading software frequently have something in common with folks who are English language learners. If you think of maybe a freshman who's coming in from abroad and who may speak English very, very well, but may be less familiar with the rapid idiomatic kind of English abbreviations and expressions that are commonly used. It will add to the clarity of your page and make it more understandable to spell out all of those words. So let's go up to the top.
Harvard Mirror.
I'm going to do a links list here again.
Links list dialog. Links view print stop relate help chain toggle list left parent sec left parent sec left parent sec left parent sec 4 right parent 14 of 61.
I'm finding many of these secs.
Left parent sec 5 right left parent sec 6 right parent 6.
Which indicates that that will not be a good navigational tool for this page either.
Escape. Harvard Mirror Viewer.
There was a combo box. I'm going to press the letter C.
Jump to page combo box left parent sec 1 right parent.
And I can jump to a page. Maybe there's more information if I try that. I'll open my combo box.
Enter. Jump to page combo box. Left parent sec 3 right parent.
We'll try number 3, whatever that is. I'll tab out of this.
Download button. Jump to page combo box. Left parent sec 3 right parent.
And I'm hearing both the download button and also a jump to page. It's almost as if 2 elements have been combined. I don't know if that's a little parsing error and it's going to be difficult for me to tease those out, or if I can separate them. So let me up and down arrow.
Jump to page. Combo box left parent sec 3 download button.
So there I'm getting my download button presenting uniquely. I'm going to press enter on that.
Enter.
And I would hope that I would hear download button selected, or I might hear it say file has been sent to your download folder, download complete. Silence is generally a bad thing.
Combo box left parent sec 3 download button.
I am not getting any indication, there's no status indicator that that element has been activated. I'll try pressing spacebar instead.
Space. Combo box left parent sec download button. Link share link to this page.
And I'm not sure, perhaps the focus is not going to that button for some reason. And I will press the letter H a few times. Sometimes the results appear at the bottom of the page.
Black women or left parent sec, 2 right left parent sec, 3 right parent left parent sec, 4 right parent left parent sec, 5 right left parent sec, 6 right parent.
No, that doesn't seem to be the case either. So I would say this page is not very user-friendly for screen reader users. When I'm reviewing a page that has media, for instance, if you have a media player, I will go through and try all of the controls. So you press to make sure that you can operate the volume control buttons. You want to make sure that you can forward and you can rewind. I also want to make sure that I can play, pause, stop. Then I look at the content itself to make sure that there are closed captions, there are transcripts when necessary, that the captions are good, that there's audio description for users who are blind, and it's a matter of checking both the media controls of the element and also the content that's being provided. Media controls are one of several elements that potentially can present some difficulties. It's good to look out for photo carousels, whether they're the kind that you interact with by pressing a button to change the image, or whether it's an automatic carousel. Those may or may not be accessible. Captchas are another area that are potentially problematic. You want to make sure that there are options for users who the most common captcha would be the one where you copy the numbers into a box. But if you're not able to see the numbers, then having an audio challenge would be appropriate. Sometimes you get little timing errors so that you're filling out a series of edit fields and things time out. I will frequently, upon seeing a list of edit fields, go through them and try to fill out as if I am registering for the newsletter or sending my message to the librarian or signing up for a service. I will get the confirmation message to make sure that the process was accessible. And there you want to make sure that all of the fields are editable so that if you leave them and you go back, you can in fact change your answer. You want to look for status indicators to tell when you've checked something or you haven't checked something so that you're getting feedback. You want to be able to check more than one option if it says check all that apply. It's common for edit fields not to have the information available so that a JAWS user or a VoiceOver user would be able to hear that this is the field where you enter your address and this is the field where you enter your city and your zip code. And the most common errors would be around dates. You want the month, day, Y, and also around the telephone numbers so that you know the format that your phone number should appear in. And then after I send it to myself, I will go into my inbox and I'll take a look at the message that I receive to make sure that the message itself is accessible and that the links work if you need to confirm a registration so that the entire process from beginning to end is accessible. Frequently, I will put myself in the shoes of a variety of users, different personas, if you will. So I might put myself in the shoes of a freshman who might be very technically savvy, but less familiar with the way that Harvard's websites are laid out. I might also be a mid-career professional, or I might pretend that I am an alum from the class of 1952, and I might be less familiar with the way the websites are laid out and have an unknown degree of familiarity with technology itself. And that will sometimes help me flag something that would not be a problem for one group, it might be a problem for another. When you're reviewing those elements, one strategy that you might consider is to think about how you would expect things to work optimally and then measure your experience against that yardstick as a standard. And you can decide how much the experience you had either aligned with or departed from that experience. And the more closely it aligns, the more accessible it is. And if it departs quite dramatically, then the element would be less accessible. And we can rate these variabilities in a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being a superlative experience, something operates smooth as silk, and then a 1 would be something that's just not operable at all. You can look at an entire website in that way, or you can look at an entire LibGuide, or you could look at a specific element and rate it on a 1 to 5 scale. And it's just a way that we can communicate to web developers, or perhaps if you're a web developer yourself, which items need to be prioritized because they're going to be the most problematic for the most people. Let's switch over.
Meeting controls, Zoom. Return to meet. Harvard Mirror Viewer dash meeting controls. Web content accessibility guidelines. Left parent WCAG. Right parent 2.1 dash Google Chrome. Web.
So these are the web content accessibility guidelines from the World Wide Web Consortium, W3C. This is for WCAG 2.1, and it includes conformance levels A, AA, and AAA. AA is the one that conforms with Harvard's digital accessibility policy, so you want the one in the middle. And if you're familiar with WCAG requirements and guidelines, there are 4 content areas where we might find accessibility barriers. And these, the first letter of them spells the word POUR, P-O-U-R. The P stands for perceivable, the O is for operable, U is for understandable, and R is for robust. And these 4 items are given numbers. Anything that is a perceivability error will begin with the number 1. Operability errors begin with 2. Understandability errors begin with 3. And the things that are robust will begin with the number 4. And the success criteria are then broken down into smaller subdivisions. So you might get a 1.2.3 or a 3.1.1. And although that sounds maybe a little bit complex, it's actually a very interesting way to be able to conceptualize and talk about the kinds of nebulous experiences that we have on the internet so that we're all speaking the same language. I know that there may be an infinite number of keystrokes that a programmer might hit, or different habits that one may bring to their coding that could present different types of errors. But in spite of all of the things that a coder might do, the presentation will always fall into one of these 4 broad thematic areas. So if we look at perceivability, that would include errors such as missing alt text. That's a very common one. It would also include poor color contrast. This is especially important for users who are low vision, who may be using magnification. And it just refers to the intensity of the color, the differentiation between the script and the background on which the script appears. This would include information that's presented purely with color or other visual characteristics, things like point to the icon, go to the icon in the upper right corner, click on the camera, look at the red button, or sometimes you'll see a checklist, and if you complete items 1, 2, and 3, they will switch from a red color to a green color, meaning you're good to go. But if there's not another way of indicating that that item and task has been completed, that information would not be perceivable to a user who is non-visual. Perceivability errors also include all of our captioning and the audio description and the requirements that we have for pre-recorded media. If we get into the area of operability, those would be issues in which keyboard commands do not substitute for mouse commands. Anything that's performed with a mouse should be able to be performed with keyboard commands. I, for instance, do not use a mouse any longer, so I'm using keyboard commands only. And if there's a button where the focus doesn't come to that button, if there are keyboard traps, for instance, if you go to a page and then you're not able to navigate back to where you came from, that doesn't happen very often, but it happens sometimes. A keyboard trap would be an operability error. Also included in operability are things like unambiguous link text and having headings that are used appropriately and not used for stylistic purposes. And it includes other types of operational type errors. Understandability would include our abbreviations. It also includes the use of clear declarative short sentences that will make your content more accessible and available to all of your users. If you're interested in learning how to write clear, concise sentences, you may want to refer to Harvard's library guide about using plain English for content. And finally, we get into the area of things that are robust, and that means being able to use something on more than one browser. I will frequently check a page with both Google Chrome and with Firefox, and it also includes some parsing errors and a couple of error messages. It is a good idea to try to go in and try to break something on purpose so that you get an error message and the focus of your cursor will go onto that error message as it should. There are other types of errors too, and they present themselves as you're doing the review, but these are some of the more common ones. Again, being mindful of these things is something that you may do initially, but then after that it becomes more an issue of maintenance. And hopefully once the push has been made and your LibGuide or your web page is accessible, you'll be able to just tweak it here and there. And it is an ongoing process. It's not something that we do once and leave behind us, but it does get easier with time. It's really important to be able to do this because the library is so central to Harvard's mission. And we want for our collections to be available to all of our students and researchers and staff and employees. That's true for any Harvard web page. And the good thing is that when we make these pages accessible, we actually improve the user experience for all of our users, regardless of their ability. This concludes our review of reviews for web pages, LibGuides, and other Harvard products. If you have any questions as you're conducting a review of your own, please feel free to reach out to the User Research Center for your accessibility questions. The User Research Center is located in Lamont A10, and we can be reached by email at libraryux, that's like user experience, at harvard.edu. Thank you.
White credits appear on a black background. Created by DeAnn Elliott. Edited by Monty Montero Elliott. May 2020. Credits fade.